The question I get asked most often is, how do I choose a coaching training provider? I'm a coach trainer and also a leadership coach for around 10 years now, and it's one of the questions we get asked most frequently because there's just so many options on the market, and I think people get confused about who they should train with, what they should look for. What about accreditation? How do you know if a course is a good one? They all look the same. So we get asked a lot of questions and find ourselves explaining a lot how you should go about choosing a coaching training provider that meets your needs. So I've put together this short presentation, should be between 10 to 12 minutes, guiding you through some of the key points to think about when making a decision about a coaching training provider. And also I will unravel the mystery around accreditation. So that's accreditation about courses and also accreditation post-qualification, because sometimes the two can get confused. So if that's you, if you're thinking about finding a coaching training provider and you don't know what to do next, then spend the next 10 minutes here and hopefully your questions will be answered. Thanks very much. Okay, so here goes. How do you choose a coaching training provider? Before we begin, I should probably tell you that I do offer coaching and mentoring qualifications, and we've got courses that you can book onto now that are accredited by the ILM. That said, there are providers for everyone, and it's my aim here really just to help you understand the differences between the different qualifications on offer and to give you some insight into how you can make your decision. So let's move on and think about first things first. So, what do you want to be doing with your qualification when you complete it? So, thinking about your objective, that should really be the number one thing that informs your decision. From our experience, you're likely to fall somewhere on the spectrum between wanting to be a full-time self-employed coach or perhaps adding to your skill set to do some coaching and mentoring, maybe within your current job. Maybe you're a line manager or somebody who just has a passion for coaching and mentoring. But it's your objective that will inform your overall decision, and we'll talk more about that as we kind of move on through the presentation. But for now, just have that in mind. So here's some things to think about. It's important to think about your needs in terms of how do you like to learn. So different training providers are going to offer different approaches. Some are going to work in small groups, offering plenty of contact time with the facilitators, perhaps doing some one-to-one or small group feedback. And others train in large groups, sometimes in excess of 100 people. And as you can imagine, that level of interactivity in the training will be affected by group size. So think about how much time and space you need to ask questions and clarify your assumptions, and just the sort of environment that you want to be able to train in. Other things to think about is, do you like lots of theory, or do you prefer to get hands-on and get stuck in? What's your style? And find out what you can about the delivery method and the content from your shortlist of training providers. Think about the experience you want to have as well. So your preferences can basically guide you to find a supplier that meets your needs. So when we're running our courses, we speak to all of our delegates in advance to make sure that we're a good match for them and also that they're a good match for us, because we want people to have the best experience they can on our programs. So I'd encourage you to speak to your preferred suppliers before you sign up to anything, just to get a sense check of how well they'll meet your needs when you come to work with them. Another thing to think about is how you'll study and qualify. So, so do you prefer practical assignments or maybe theory-based? Qualification approaches will vary between providers, but generally you'll be expected to do a number of coaching hours and submit a portfolio of reflective practice as a minimum. And there'll almost certainly be other things that you'll be required to do to qualify as well. But finding out not just about the content and the style, but also the qualification itself and how you study and qualify can be really important. But what about accreditation? So take a deep breath, as this is where it can get a bit confusing. To understand the different accreditation paths, you need to first understand a little bit about the coaching industry. So the coaching and mentoring industry is an unregulated market, and this means that anyone can call themselves a coach and start working with clients. I mean, from my perspective, that's not ideal. So there are three main bodies that work really hard to provide a level of, say, quality and regulation to the market. And these are the ICF, the Association for Coaching, and the EMCC. So these bodies, amongst other things, accredit courses and offer accreditation to individuals. So we'll break those two things down. Let's first look at the coaching body course accreditation. Where a coaching body accredits a course, it essentially said this course is a good course. So they would have reviewed the content, the learning outcomes, they would have reviewed the training providers themselves, They would have had a look at the level of experience and almost certifying, if you like, that everything about that course is meeting their standards. It's a well put together training program that will produce good coaches. So if you find a program that's accredited by one of the coaching bodies, you can be reassured that it's a good, solid program. The ILM also offers accreditations. The ILM is the Institute of Leadership and Management. They're slightly different to the coaching bodies in a sense that the ILM are a provider of vocational qualifications. So you may be familiar with the City and Guilds, who in history are people that provide and qualify people in different vocational qualifications. And they're on the UK's qualification and credit framework, which means, for want of a better expression, they're a real qualification. Today, the ILM are a body that seek to build and create strong leaders, but they still have a good standing in coaching and mentoring, because obviously it's a core leadership skills, you know. A qualification from the ILM is a recognised certified qualification awarded from the UK's qualification framework. And that qualification framework has a relationship with Ofqual. And so all providers that offer ILM qualifications are audited regularly. And the ILM are able to recognise awards, certificates and diplomas in terms of the real qualifications. And now take a breath there, because there are many training providers that claim to offer coaching diplomas. But if their diplomas aren't underpinned by the UK's qualification framework, then the diploma that they offer is simply a recognition from the company that offers it themselves. It's not mapped necessarily to a qualification framework. So, without some kind of accreditation, it's difficult to know the standard of the training on offer. So if you have a programme that is either accredited by one of the coaching bodies or accredited by the ILM, you can be assured that it's a good programme. It's a good, solid programme that is robust and has been quality assured somewhere. One last thing on accreditation. So there's ILM qualifications and there's ILM endorsed programmes. So an ILM endorsed programme isn't quite the same as a qualification. It's very similar to how the coaching bodies work, and it essentially says, we, the ILM, endorse this programme as a good programme. It meets our standards. Okay, so you've got a number of different options there, all of which would assure you that the programme that you're going on to is a good, solid programme. So now let's move our attention to personal or professional accreditation. So this is the last part of the puzzle. Once you've done your qualification, you have the option of becoming accredited by a coaching body. So accreditation is a step beyond qualification, and it certifies your practice as a coach mentor. So personal accreditation, or professional accreditation if you like, is a way to quality mark your practice. Not all coaches will take that option. Some people feel that their qualification and their experience is enough. Others will go down the accreditation route. There are several levels of accreditation, and each of the three main bodies offer something that's slightly different. So if we just take the EMCC as an example, they offer foundation, practitioner, senior practitioner and master coach. So any coach, whether you've been on a course accredited by a coaching body, by the ILM, or not accredited at all, can apply for personal accreditation at any point in their career. The standards that you'd need to meet will include things other than your qualifications, such as CPD that you do, supervision that you do, your reflective practice, showing that you meet the competencies required of these different standards. So there's lots that goes into accreditation that is above and beyond the qualification itself. That said though, if you have done a course that's accredited by a coaching body, the process of becoming accredited is often quicker, simpler and cheaper. And that's assuming that you put in your accreditation request before the end of a time qualifying period that some of the bodies put on their accreditation process. So my advice to you is, if you think that accreditation in this regard is going to be interesting to you or useful for you, do your research, check out each of the three main bodies, see what the standards are and see if it's something that you would be keen to do. Now, recently, the EMCC has formed a partnership with the ILM in recognition of the robust qualifications that ILM offer. And this partnership is in its infancy. So at the time of this presentation, it's a bit unclear what that would mean for personal accreditation, but it's certainly a conversation that you could raise with the EMCC if you're considering an ILM qualification. So let's just do a quick recap. So the coaching industry is unregulated and anyone can call themselves a coach. So in order to stand out from the crowd and essentially assure yourself that you're doing something that is robust, the quality mark is through course accreditation, usually by the coaching bodies or the ILM. On top of that, you have this professional accreditation route, which is different to course accreditation. And that personal and professional accreditation offers a pathway to quality assure your coaching practice. So another question that we get asked is, can I qualify as a coach in a weekend? And this is where you go back to your original objective. So if you want to gain some coaching skills or blend this into your role, maybe you have a passion for coaching and mentoring and you want to find out a little bit more, then a short course could be the way forward for you. It could be something that enables you to dip the toe in the water and refresh or update your skills. If you're serious about coaching and mentoring and you want to offer one-to-one coaching services, either internally or to paying clients, my advice would be to seek an accredited course. There's no quick way to become a coach. You only get good at it through practice. And ultimately, you're going to trade on your reputation. So from my perspective, the accredited courses require you to do a certain amount of coaching hours in order to become qualified. And it's through the practice that you get good at what you do. You can't really fast track the skill development that you would get from doing an accredited course. But if it helps your decision, you can see your coaching qualification as just the start. So even at the end of your coaching qualification, you still aren't going to know everything that you need to know. There's a commitment to professional development that comes hand in hand with coaching. And if you wanted to, you could have a lifetime of CPD ahead of you as you develop as a coach. It really depends how deep you want to go with the subject and how much practice you want to be able to do with clients. You're never really done as a coach because there's always something you can learn. So I've been a coach for about 10 years now, and I'm continually learning through the coaching sessions that I do, the supervision that I have, short courses that I attend, reading that I take on. It's a passion for me, and it's one of the things that really attracts me to the profession. So if you think about it as just the start, that might free you up some space to be able to make a decision on who to go with. My parting message to you is to make your decision based on your needs, as we've discussed, and how you want to use your skills at the end of it. But the other message is to have the profession in mind. So if you want to join a reputable, respected coaching profession, then make a decision which supports that objective and do the profession a favour by making a sound decision based out of your objective and your needs. And if you'd like to find out more about the ILM qualifications that we offer, then please visit www.igcompany.co.uk or contact me on hello@zoehawkins.com. And we have qualifications ready to go in Reading, Plymouth and Bristol for 2019. Thanks very much for listening. And if you have any questions, then shoot them away on an email as well. Thanks then. Bye.